towards gender equality, and today we're going to dive into the details of this landmark judgment. The Shayara Bano case is significant, not only because it brought an end to the discriminatory practice of triple talaq, but also because it marked a shift in the way Indian courts approach personal laws. For far too long, personal laws had been shielded from scrutiny, with many arguing that they were a matter of religious freedom. However, the Shayara Bano case showed that even religious practices can be subject to constitutional scrutiny. In many ways, the Shayara Bano case represents a triumph of women's rights over patriarchal norms. It's a testament to the power of courage and determination, and serves as a reminder that even in the face of adversity, women can come together to challenge the status quo and bring about change. Triple talaq, also known as instant divorce, was a practice that allowed Muslim men to divorce their wives instantly, simply by uttering the word talaq 3 times. This practice was grossly unfair, as it left women with no say in the matter and often no means of financial support. For centuries, triple talaq had been an integral part of Muslim personal law in India, but it was also a major obstacle to women's empowerment. Despite being declared unconstitutional in many Muslim-majority countries, triple talaq continued to thrive in India, perpetuating a culture of patriarchy and misogyny. Many women's rights activists and organizations had been fighting against this practice for years, but it wasn't until the Shayara Bano case that the Indian Supreme Court finally took a stand. Shayara Bano, a Muslim woman from Uttar Pradesh, was the petitioner in this case. Her husband had divorced her through instant triple talaq, leaving her with no recourse or support. Shayara Bano's courage in challenging this practice in court inspired many other women to come forward and share their stories. In 2016, Shayara Bano filed a petition in the Supreme Court, challenging the constitutionality of triple talaq. Her petition was soon joined by several other women who had also been victims of this practice. The Union of India, along with several Muslim organizations, argued in favor of triple talaq, claiming that it was an integral part of Muslim personal law. The Supreme Court, however, was not convinced by these arguments. After hearing the petitions, a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court delivered a historic verdict, declaring triple talaq unconstitutional and violative of women's rights. The judges held that triple talaq was not an essential practice of Islam, and that it was in fact a form of discrimination against women. The verdict was a major victory for women's rights, and it sent shockwaves across the country. For the first time, the Indian Supreme Court had taken a clear stand against a patriarchal practice that had been perpetuating discrimination against women. The Shayara Bano case also highlighted the need for reform in Muslim personal law. For far too long, Muslim women had been subject to discriminatory practices such as polygamy and halala. The Shayara Bano case showed that these practices were not sacrosanct, and that they could be challenged and reformed. The verdict in the Shayara Bano case was not just a victory for Shayara Bano herself, but for millions of Muslim women across India. It marked a new era of empowerment and equality, and it sent a clear message that women's rights would no longer be ignored. As Justice Kurian Joseph, one of the judges on the bench, said in his judgment, "What is held to be bad in theology cannot be elevated to the level of a fundamental right." This statement reflected the court's commitment to upholding women's rights, even if it meant challenging religious beliefs. The Shayara Bano case has also had a significant impact on the way we think about personal laws in India. It has shown that personal laws are not above constitutional scrutiny, and that they must be subject to the principles of equality and non-discrimination. As we move forward, the Shayara Bano case serves as a reminder of the power of women's collective action. It shows us that even in the face of adversity, women can come together to challenge patriarchy and bring about change. In the words of Shayara Bano herself, "I felt a sense of pride and satisfaction when the Supreme Court declared triple talaq unconstitutional. It was a moment of triumph, not just for me, but for millions of Muslim women across India." The Shayara Bano case has set an important precedent for future legal challenges to discriminatory practices. It has shown us that women's rights are not just a matter of personal freedom, but a fundamental human right. In conclusion, the Shayara Bano case is a landmark judgment that has had a profound impact on women's rights in India. It has shown us that even the most entrenched patriarchal practices can be challenged and reformed, and